My name is Angela Simmons and I died on December 12, 2024. I know that's a startling way to begin, but there's no gentle way to share what I'm about to tell you. The message Jesus gave me during my near-death experience is too urgent for pleasantries. Before I share his warnings about today's churches, you need to understand who I was and how I came to receive this divine revelation. For 20 years, I was a corporate executive at one of Minneapolis's largest healthcare companies. I had the corner office on the 47th floor, the luxury car, the lake house. Everything society tells us represents success. I was also what some might call a comfortable Christian. I attended church twice a month, put money in the offering plate, and considered myself spiritually fulfilled. Looking back now, I realize how deeply asleep I was. The morning of December 12th began like any other winter day in Minnesota. The temperature was well below freezing, and the sun hadn't yet risen when I arrived at the hospital for what should have been a routine gallbladder removal. I remember joking with the nurse about missing an important board meeting while she took my vitals. "Better than missing Christmas," she said with a smile. Little did I know that in a few hours, I would have an appointment with Jesus Christ himself. I recall the operating room in perfect detail, the cold steel of the table beneath me, the harsh fluorescent lights above, the rhythmic beeping of monitors. The anesthesiologist, Dr. Chun, began counting backward from 10. I made it to 7 before the room started to fade. That should have been the end of my awareness until recovery, but instead it was just the beginning. The first sign that something was wrong came when I found myself floating near the ceiling. Looking down at my own body, I could see the medical team's expression shift from routine concentration to sudden alarm. The monitors were screaming. My heart had stopped beating due to an unexpected reaction to the anesthesia. As I watched them begin chest compressions, I felt no fear, only a strange sense of detachment and peace. Then came the tunnel. I had heard of near-death experiences mentioning this tunnel of light, but nothing could have prepared me for its reality. Imagine the purest, warmest, most loving light you've ever seen, but multiply that by infinity. The tunnel itself seemed to be alive, pulsing with divine energy. As I moved through it, every fear, every worry, every earthly concern fell away. I was enveloped in perfect peace and unconditional love, but this was just the beginning. The tunnel opened into what I can only describe as the throne room of heaven itself. The glory I witnessed there is almost impossible to put into human words. The colors alone were beyond anything that exists on earth. Colors I had never seen before and still can't describe. And there he was, Jesus Christ, the King of Kings. When people ask how I knew it was Jesus, I almost have to laugh. It's like asking how you know your mother's face or your child's voice. When you're in his presence, there is no doubt. His love was overwhelming. But what struck me most was the mixture of joy and sorrow in his eyes. He looked at me with such tenderness, but I could see his heart was heavy with the message he needed to share. "Angela," he said, "I have brought you here because my church is in danger. What you will see today will be difficult, but you must remember every detail. You must tell them. Many of my children are being led astray, and time is running out." As he spoke these words, the throne room around us transformed. Suddenly, we were floating above what looked like a vast map of the world. But instead of political boundaries, I could see lights representing churches. Some burned bright and pure, but many were dim or flickering with a strange artificial light. "Watch carefully," Jesus said, "for I will show you 4 grave dangers threatening my church today. What you see will break your heart as it breaks mine, but my people must be warned." I felt his hand take mine, and we began to descend toward the first scene he wanted me to witness. We entered a massive church building that could have easily been mistaken for a sports arena. The parking lot was filled with luxury cars, Mercedes, BMWs, Teslas, gleaming under spotlights like jewels in a crown. Jesus' grip on my hand tightened, and I could feel his grief. "Look deeper," he said. Suddenly, I could see what was invisible to human eyes. Spiritual beings moved through the crowd, not the holy angels I had glimpsed in the throne room, but darker entities draped in counterfeit light. They whispered into the ears of congregants, promising wealth, success, and earthly prosperity in exchange for seeds of faith. Inside the building, the sanctuary looked more like a concert venue. Multiple giant screens displayed a charismatic preacher's face as he paced the stage in an Italian suit that probably cost more than most of his congregants made in a month. "Give your best seed today," he proclaimed. "God can't bless what you don't release. Who wants to be in the Platinum Partners Circle? For just $10,000, you'll receive exclusive access to our Prosperity Prophecy conferences." Jesus guided me closer, allowing me to see into the hearts of the people. Many were struggling financially, some even facing eviction or mounting medical bills, yet they were pulling out credit cards and writing checks they couldn't afford. The most heartbreaking part? Their sincerity. They truly believed this was what God wanted. "My house shall be called a house of prayer," Jesus said. "But look what they have made it." He showed me behind the scenes, the church's multiple business enterprises, the pastor's hidden mansion, the offshore accounts. But more than the financial exploitation, he showed me the spiritual cost. People were being taught a false gospel, one that reduced the King of Kings to a cosmic vending machine. "They teach my people to serve money while claiming to serve me," Jesus explained. "They take scriptures about generosity and twist them into weapons of manipulation." The scene shifted to a small apartment where a single mother was crying over bills at her kitchen table. On her TV, the same preacher was promising that a $1,000 seed would guarantee a financial breakthrough. She reached for her phone to call the church's donation line, genuinely believing this was her path to God's blessing. "This is what breaks my heart," Jesus said. "Not just the deception, but how it prevents my children from understanding true prosperity, the riches of my grace, the wealth of my presence, the abundance of my love." Jesus then showed me the solution: churches where giving was taught as a response to God's love, not as a means of manipulating His blessing. I saw pastors living modestly, more concerned with feeding their flocks than building their brands. Then Jesus squeezed my hand again. "This is only the first warning," he said. "Now I must show you something equally concerning: churches that have sacrificed truth for popularity." The scene before us dissolved, and we began moving toward the next revelation.